We are here for Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 1 IndyCar Championship, the third round of 8 in the championship, and it will be the first oval race of 3 on the schedule here at the 1.5 mile oval. This is Carlin, Hicks, and I'm joined in the booth tonight by Pogo Mojo. Say hi, Pogo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Texas Motor Speedway. It's good to be with you, Carlin.
Yeah, looking forward to this one. I live in the real world about 15 minutes down the road from this place, so you can consider my race shop is probably located here. Many of our longtime drivers have been coming here for a long time. This place, 45 minutes, we expect to see around 150 miles of competition here tonight, and I think staying out of trouble as much as anything is going to be the key for these guys to have some success, as we're on board right now with Muttley currently sitting 11th in the points after the first 2 rounds. He had a real good drive going in the opener at Long Beach and finished 5th, and not so much at Willow Springs, but he's in the number 22 Chevy tonight. Let's get on our points leader, Catguy, with the victory at Long Beach and a second place finish at You are on the camera, Pogo, you know that, right?
No, I did not.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, Catguy bringing the 61 PureTech out of the pits. They said he took the win at Long Beach, came in a hard-fought second at Willow Springs, and so leads the point standings over the Willow Springs winner, Dale the Whale. We expect Catguy not just to be quick here at Texas, which we know is we got somebody going around behind him there. Normal trouble of qualifying. Still very early in the session. Most guys haven't got laps in. But Catguy also knows the long-term strategy. He's run more than his share of 500-mile races in these cars. Knows how to put them together. Pogo, you're a veteran of the IndyCars at this track. As Cat goes around, hanging it out there in qualifying. May not have damaged the car. Let's see if he gets it rolling. But you are a veteran here, having run IndyCars for a long time. Just tell our viewers, what is your approach? What do you think needs to be done to come out well in a race like this?
Well, you have to have a game plan and the right setup for your car. Because normally, when we've ran this race in the past, we've had caution flags, and tonight, we're not going to have any of those. But you're not going to have the luxury of going into the pit and changing this or adjusting that. You're just going to have what you have when you come out and they drop the green flag. And so it's going to be a lot of thought process and a lot of practice going into this race to see who can come out in the end and still have every fender on their car or all their wings. It's going to be a tight race.
Oh, absolutely. I think if we don't get a red flag early in the race, it's my opinion that, and you can go ahead and cycle through here and how you want in qualifying, Pogo. Get your hands used to the mics too. That was last week's winner from Willow Springs, Dale the Whale there in the target car. You're definitely going to see at least 1 pit stop and maybe 2, because these cars are going to cover, without a red flag, they would cover over 150 miles, somewhere in the range of 155 miles, which is over 100 laps. So whether or not they can make that on 1 stop depends on whether you want to dial back the, lean back your fuel and try to do that, which I don't think these guys are going to want to do. In my opinion, you may see a 2-stop strategy out of most of these guys, and that means in the pits, out of the pits. You're gonna have to be, smart coming on and off the pit lane. It may help you to have a partner drafting partner to help you get back up to speed. As we're looking at the debutant, that's KE5 is Glenn. We'll call him KE5 for his racing name, as he's making his first Flux IndyCar Championship start, riding in the number 12 Verizon car as somebody else goes around. I think that's Green Gaiman in the number 7 Honda. Yeah, Green Gaiman getting it back up to speed. Get us back on the track.
It's in the 15 Honda there.
The 15's the red one. That's the 5, I believe.
Oh, it is. Oh, my bad. I was looking at the wrong.
Yeah, I get them mixed up too. No worries. Yeah, I get them mixed up too. See if
they
on the track.
So fast, I seen a 1 on that car.
Oh yeah. Let's see if we can see anything on the trackside cam as to how that car is moving. Oh, as he goes smacking into the wall, right off the bat, I can tell you what's going on with that car. And you're going to want to put it on the trackside cam, and not all will cycle you through, Pogo. There you go. And here in qualifying, you just kind of cycle through. But the Immortalis has a good point there in the comments. He's pointing out that, oh, damn, and somebody goes around. That was one shoe. He came up off the banking and took somebody out. These guys having trouble just overdoing it coming off the pit lane is what it looks like to me. But as I was saying, they really need to, Immortalis made a good point in that you're going to want to know that they're competent side by side. I personally can vouch for about half a dozen of these guys. Other guys have to get used to it, but I think what you're seeing there with Green Gaiman is a classic example. They've got the car trimmed out for qualifying. They better put some downforce in it or something into it for the race, because you come off of turn 4 and that wall starts coming up to you, and you don't lift the throttle. If you don't, the only way to save the car is to lift the throttle. If you oversteer it, it's just going to snap oversteer, and you're going to spin the car, as we saw there. And if you shoot it, you try to correct it, you're going to pull a Gordon Smiley on yourself and go nose first into the fence. And that's really what it boils down to. Some guys are going to come out here and try to run a real trimmed out car that's not going to run well in traffic. They're going to hope that the race strings out quickly and they can start picking guys off one at a time. But it's really tough to tell.
And they could be right now in qualifying trim, and they're not going to have any downforce on it.
Of course.
Qualifying trim. They might put some on for the race.
You also have to remember a couple of technical notes with the Indycars. The Dallara has a different package here on the ovals, and the main thing is they run a higher turbo boost in the qualifying trim than they do in race trim. Race trim will be at about 84% of the turbo boost, meaning that you're going to see slower speeds. You're going to need to see slower. You're going to see slower speeds in the race than you would in qualifying. That's the first thing. So it's highly likely that several of these guys have completely different car setups. Not completely different, but subtly changed car setups between racing and qualifying for that very reason. Some guys are looking wobbly, and it's on to the drivers. They're expected to drive like professionals out here. As Survivor goes over and ends up on his roof, and looks like we got another major accident back there in the backstretch. The guys are hopefully getting it out of their system here early, because what will happen in the race, I think, is you'll see 6, 7, 8 guys out of the 14 that come through the early trouble, and the rest of the field will just be playing catch up the rest of the way. But I think some of this is the qualifying trim. Cars are a little trimmed out. They're getting close to each other and sliding. But I think the biggest mistake we're seeing is guys, they start pushing towards the wall. Instead of lifting off the throttle, they oversteer it. It suddenly snaps on them. Car goes around. We've also seen guys having trouble getting off the pit lane.
And with a little more than 8 minutes left here in qualifying, looks like we have Dale the Whale at the top, Ed Yeager, KE5, Jiggly Jello, and OGR Catguy following at the top 5. with pretty good lap times. It
Yeah,
looks like most of those they've had a partner to draft with, though.
yeah, those are draft times in qualifying. They're a good second faster than what you'll see in the race. Go ahead and let's get on board Dale in the cockpit in his cockpit cam. He was our winner last week with a dominating performance at Willow Springs. He actually lapped the field, had that car set up, qualified on the pole, took off. That brings him into tonight's race second in the points, just 7 back behind from Catguy. As he comes through turn 1 now, you are full throttle here, but you've got to get the nose down right here and get below these bumps. You can see him feather it, tip it just a little right there. As he comes up, you want to take it to the wall. The stagger's got pulling you to the left. Right here is not going to be his fastest lap as he's coming up on Survivor. That was a risky move right there. He was smart to pull off of it at the end. I doubt you'll see, that was a qualifying move, hoping he could save his lap speed, because that's not a move he would make in the race. But as you can see, then you got someone behind you. We might see a little bit of that aero loose here as he's got a car in his wake. You're going to be full throttle, but the car's got a handle for you to do it. And right here is where you can see him burp the throttle slightly. That car's starting to push a little. But that's a couple of laps around here, and even though you're flat out, you have to have the car set up right. You have to have the balance just right. And I cannot tell you from 15 seasons of experience in these cars at this level of championship that I've seen guys who have the setup in qualifying or have the car in qualifying, but 30 laps into a run, they can't keep it under them. And that's what you need to look for here in this race, is guys that start off well and start to fade, and guys that start off slow and start to come up. A couple of grid penalties already on the board.
Quick look at the timesheet.
All in the 23s, at least the top 6. Let's say, as Immortal's commenting on Survivor and drivers using the controller, we've had champions in the past, and I've seen champions in this discipline in the past that used controller. You got to set the car up just right, obviously, and you got to have everything dialed in, but it can be done. It also brings up an interesting future point. I was reading recently about the built-in haptic controllers for PS5 and how they relate to racing games. Reading an article or something on my research, and it pointed that out, was should make for a very interesting. Supposedly it's supposed to make it easier to balance wheels and controllers on racing games, among other things. So we'll see what, how that plays out. And take a chance now to remind our viewers, any new viewers who are looking to get involved in Flux Motorsport, you can go to FluxMotorsport.com, follow the link to the Discord, and you can join through there, get your evaluation drive, and join the fun. We also have the Flux store is up. They also have the Flux store is up now, and you can find links for discounts upon joining to Fanatec and other industry names, among others. Also got another first-time starter out here in the series, and that'll be Lecky, as he's took the flight over from Europe tonight to be with us here at the first Texas Motor Speedway race. And I know for a fact he can pedal these cars around. He's, as I say that, curse of the commentator, he tears a wing off. But
as he goes around.
Yeah, as he goes around. But Lecky has that Dan Weldon vibe out here in the ovals, and Dan Weldon was unquestionably, at least in the modern era, the top British driver on ovals. Immortalis asking for strategy and racecraft. Yeah, to be honest, Immortalis, in the longer races that some of the vets are used to doing from the other sanctioning bodies, we regularly ran 300 to 500K you'll see more of it. But even in 45 minutes, I expect to see two pit stops. I really do. I think there might be a couple guys that try to lean out and make it on one, but unless you get a significant red flag, I predict two stops. That's going to benefit the guys who can get on and off pit row the best. But the trick here is even though this is the one series that uses authentic tire wear, Indy cars chew up the tires. They're cars that weigh half again as much. They're a Formula car that weighs half again as much as a Formula One, and they're doing an incredible G load of 230 miles an hour around the 24-degree banking here. So they eat the tires up is the long way to say that. Um, Basically, I expect when is the drop off? You can probably go uh, close. You might even be able to make a splash and go pit stop on the second stop if you can make your tires last long enough. The trick is though how far, if you can do 45, 50, 55 laps or whatever on a tank, when is your drop off? Some guys setups, these guys sliding it around, they might see a drop off at lap 20, 25, 30. And the guy who can keep going a steady speed for a good for the whole 40 plus laps would have a significant advantage, even if he can't cut a pit stop. As we got somebody went around, was that Ed Yeager? These guys are getting aggressive here in qualifying, but that's what I expect. I expect to see who's got the right time to make those. What I'm predicting will be two pit stops. It's do you feel comfortable running it out? Like, I don't know that these are the numbers. Yeah, I would agree with you. Immortal's talking about dialing the tires in is difficult to do. The only way to do it is to do long run testing and to see where your fall off is and to get less aggressive if the fall off's too much. You're gonna have some fall off in these cars. You're gonna have to back off to make them stay on the track when things are sliding all over the place on you. But I think that the key is, when is that? If your drop off is 50% of the way through a fuel run, that's one thing. If it's 75% of the way for a fuel run, then maybe you can do a long run, another long run, and then come in and do 10, 12, 15 laps, splash of fuel, no tires, save 3 or 4 seconds at the end of the race. It's entirely possible that you can do that as well. But it depends on how well you can keep the tires underneath you. I had most of my success in the past in this series by being good on the tires, particularly back in the PS3 and the GT6 iteration. Running them on the speedways there would just, you ate the tires up so bad that you had to be able to roll them. Pogo, I think we're seeing some surprises. Ed Yeager and KE5 currently up in the first two rows.
Yeah, that is surprising, and see some of the very quick guys down in the order. But you never know on a day like this who has a partner, and that's what this race is all about. Is you have to have a partner to draft with, to get out there and put the singles behind you.
Yeah, if that's the kind of setup you have.
Complete here.
Yeah, if you have the setup for that, you may want to run alone too. All right, here is your starting order for tonight's Flux IndyCar Championship Race 2021 Season 1 at Texas Motor Speedway Round 3. With his second straight pole position in the series, last week's winner at Willow Springs, Dale the Whale will be in the number 9 Target Chevy, leading us off 23.018, a great lap on the outside of the front row. Ed Yeager with a terrific qualifying run in the Quiznos car. In his debut IndyCar race, KE5, Glenn, managing to qualify third. He'll be on the inside of row 2. He'll be flanked by Jiggly Jello. Starting on the inside of row 3 in the 5th spot will be the point leader, OGR Catguy. He's got NZ Jack, second place at Long Beach, flanking him in the outside of row 3. Inside of row 4 will be Mark C, and he will be flanked on the outside by the veteran CMCF in the number 10 car? No, the number 8 car. Starting ninth will be the veteran Lecky coming over from Great Britain. He will be in the multicolored, I can forget what number that is, 25 maybe? And he will be starting on the inside of row 5. On the outside of row 5 will be Muttley in the 22 Menards Chevy. On the inside of row 6, we've got one shoe in the number 6 Chevy. He'll be flanked by who will be fast in the 15 Ray Hall Steak and Shake car, the Honda. That is my name, Jeff. He's been quick in both races this season, and I look to see him come up from the back inside of row 7, final row. Survivor 1880 in the DHL Honda, and Green Game and his teammate will be on the outside of him also in a Honda. All right, so we're looking set to go. Give these guys the 2-minute room to get themselves set. Immortalis making a comment. Drafting can see the fastest guys rolling across the line last. Definitely shakes things up. There's no doubt about that. I expect to see Dale to have a quick setup. He and Jeff have been on the road courses anyway, have been fast, and I believe that we'll see the same thing here today. Among the guys that have been running IndyCar continuously, Catguy is going to be there. Lecky, I expect to be there. One shoe, I wouldn't be surprised to see him move up, as I only see 13 on the grid. Let's see if he lost somebody. I'm not sure. May have lost somebody already. But this is going to be high drama here heading into turn 1 right off the start. We expect to see nothing but action right off the start of this race. I'll be unfortunate if we lost.
is not here. Number 8 slot, CMC.
Yeah, I do not
blew
see.
His engine.
Must have some problem in the garage area there. Sure, we'll get an update.
I think he was pushing it too hard on the qualifying, and I think they blew their motor.
It's entirely possible. As I said, we used to tell drivers. The fact is that your internet is basically your engine package when it comes to sim racing. So when you're a disconnect, we would just call it a blown motor, and I think that's completely accurate as far as how, what we're dealing with, and that's about as accurate of description as you can get. He blew the motor in qualifying. Apparently it didn't let him in, so the field's down to 13. Still 7 rows. All right, here we go. Dale the Whale and Ed Yeager are going to lead us to the line. Flux Motorsport IndyCar Championship at Texas is green. This guy's spread out nicely. Pretty clean start so far. Looking to see Jeff in that 15 car moving up as Dale gets out to the start. He's got Glenn right behind him, getting a little latency bounce there. KE5 in second, Ed Yeager third, Jiggly Jello fourth, right where they started, and setting up in a line. Let's put the chase cam on Lecky in 6th place. Get a good view of what these guys are seeing right in front of them. He appears to be at the tail of that front row. As it looks like Survivor went around. Survivor spun it in turn 3, didn't make the adjustments necessary, and he's going to pick it back up and try to get going. One shoe got caught up in that as well. Let's hope they did not have any damage. One shoe is rolling along on the apron like you might possibly have damage, but we're on the Pogo Mojo, the world's fastest drone pilot, behind Lecky as he's trying to move it up.
And he needs to get up with those cars so he does not lose the draft. He does not want to get out of that draft.
Yeah, let's get back to our broadcast cam with those guys in front of us. See who's in 5th place. Can you put the pylon back up, Pogo?
What?
The pylon. You turned off the scoring pylon. Should be on one on your. There you go. Thank you. That's good too. You can leave that up too. Lets everybody know where they're at. All right, let's fall in. Let's get on Catguy on the broadcast cam. He looks like he is running in 5th at the tail end of that line. right where he started. He's got Jiggly Jello right in front of him. My name is Jeff and One Shoe both hitting the pits, obviously for repair. So looks like Survivor looped it. Those guys got caught up in it. All right, let's take a look back up front. There you go, right there on board with Glenn, as he is just behind Dale the Whale. Glenn, a rookie in Flux Motorsport this season, making his first IndyCar start, and he's come out with that number 12 Verizon Chevy, and he's running right there with the leader. Just 7 laps in early on. They've got Ed Yeager right behind them.
And it looks like those 3 are hanging with their fastest laps right now with under 25 seconds. So they've been nose to tail since the start, it looks like.
Yeah, coming right out on the start, they got a little bit of a jump. I think we're going to see the field settle in here. And it's going to depend. You know, things will string out for some guys. And then we'll see who has the speed on their own, who has the speed at, when they're in the pack. And right now, Catguy right there running in 5th, Jiggly Jello in 4th. Catguy's just staying patient. Let's see if they are making up any time here. We got 24.6s. These guys are running 24.8s. They're starting to pick it up. I think Catguy feeling a little bit quicker than Jiggly at the moment, but wants to use them to try to catch their way up as Dale and KE5. Go ahead.
I was noticing that Ed Yeager lost the draft on the top 2, so I think that Jiggly and Catguy should catch him here shortly, and then the 3 of them might be able to pull up to the leaders.
Oh, somebody on their roof. We got a big wreck. That's Dale the Whale. We got a big wreck. 3 cars, 4 cars. Catguy caught up in it. Survivor is off the track. He is into the pits as he spun it for the 2nd time. And it looks like he went straight to the box and retired it and called out the tow truck. Lost it in turn 2. You saw Dale the Whale make contact. We're going to have a number of cars coming rolling around here. Catguy, Dale the Whale, Ed Yeager. Dale the Whale has lost significant pieces of that car. Even if they repair it, he might have Ed Yeager as well running right up front. He might have some serious problem.
Pit road is busy place right now. Look at all those pit crew guys coming over the wall with fenders and front tires.
They're going to make
Everybody's got damage.
Oh yeah, they're going to make wing changes, most of these cars, no doubt, and try to get back out. But meanwhile, that put KE5 all by his lonesome, 8.5 seconds out in front, as he is the one car that managed to avoid that. That was, you hate to say it, but you call it earlier in the race. And if you're spinning that car in qualifying, you need to take some of that trim out of it. And he looped it twice in turn 2 during qualifying, and then 2 times in the first 12 laps of the race. That's a setup problem, and the car obviously needed to be dialed back in that situation. But in the meanwhile, Green Gaiman, Dale the Whale, Ed Yeager, and Catguy all coming in to make pit stops. And these are long pit stops. These guys are losing multiple laps, as obviously when you lose both wings, as Dale the Whale did, and lost the front wing like Ed Yeager did, those are extensive stops.
And back at the top, KE5, a new driver to this series, and he finds himself alone up there, and in 2nd place, Lecky. Surprised to be here, and surprised to be in 2nd place in front of Muttley, who's pushing him, and he's got a smile from ear to ear. I can see it from here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get in the cockpit here with Muttley, as him and Lecky running 2nd and 3rd are turning laps to catch up to the leader. They are gaining on Glenn as Lecky goes loose to the inside. Muttley avoids it. I wonder if he took a little wing damage. Is he going to pull in? It looks like it. Yep. That is a shame. This is going to turn into a race of attrition as everybody's nicking the wall. I just think, Pogo, that for a race this long and in these cars, these guys are getting too close this early. I mean, we're looking right there.
It looked like Lecky got below the white line there, and you can't. That's just an absolute no-no. That's gonna, you're going to turn the car no matter what.
Yeah, it's tough to do, especially in that section of the track. Is here you've got Mark and NZ Jack, meanwhile, have moved up into second and third, and they're running pretty smart, right about 2 or 3 car lengths apart, not getting too close. You still don't have much reaction time, but the car in the back can kind of see when he's making the guy in front of him loose, can back it off a little, you know, give away a lap or two in order to save the car. You've got a long way to go. We're only 18 laps in. Lecky, meanwhile, he banged up the car. He's in the pits. Somebody else is off the track. Was that Muttley? Has Muttley retired it? Oh, we've already seen.
It looks like we have. We're down to 11.
Okay, we saw CMC at the very beginning. Survivor.
Oh, we have a turn in the top 2. Marco and Jack.
Yeah, it looks like Mark went around, and KE5's back out front.
I dropped the camera.
Yeah, we've had CMC out, we've had Survivor out, and we've had Muttley out now from the original 14 starters, just 20 laps in. And now it's KE5 holding about half a lap on the field, but running all by his lonesome. Let's give KE5 a shout here. I think the guys came out with way too aggressive.
And that car looks like it just came out of the car wash. It's beautiful.
We called it before the race that guys were going to have to be careful with it. The challenge of its own, and if you're going to run nose to tail, you better have the car to do it. I don't think many of these guys do, but this is far from over because you're going to see guys pairing up.
Second place, Jack. He spun it.
And Jack goes around. These guys' tires are wearing out. They're pushing the car as hard as they can and just being a little too aggressive. It is a cool track too. I mean, that's not something to be discounted. But as we're seeing here, you got Jeff up here. He's been in for repairs, so he has newer tires, and he's having to keep the car up high. You got to believe that's a loose car, and in that case, you got to say, could have dialed a little more snugness into it and been better in traffic. That's the kind of thing that we're looking at. But, you know, they may have done that, and some of these guys have just been caught up when somebody in front of them spun, hit the wall, what have you. There's just so little time to react, but that's what racing these cars is like. Meanwhile, KE5 is just out in front on his lonesome. He's now 2 laps up as they're scored right now. Now, granted,
just over 10 minutes out of the race. They have 35 minutes left. That's a long time. 25 laps. We're looking at close to a 100-lap race here.
Oh, absolutely, and despite that lead with all these cars hitting the pits that KE5 has, mind you, everyone else now has hit the pits. KE5 has not pitted, so that's some of that time is going to come back right there. And also, he hasn't had any damage, hadn't had any repairs. We've got about 8 cars that have at some point, and so we're going to have to see how it sorts back. He's also running, as I said, by himself. You get a couple of guys that hook up on the track together and start turning fast drafting laps and can keep it together and not run each other over, you know, one of them spin and take both out, then you know, me and a couple of my old JME Motorsports running mates, we would have hooked up and started slowly ticking them off, and that's exactly what these guys need to do. See where we got some guys on the track. Got anybody running together? Go ahead and scroll down the list. We'll do a little walk here. Going on to My Name is Jeff, who's running in second. Running a few laps off the pace at the moment, but as I said, out of sequence with the leader.
And another 10 seconds back is Green Gaming.
Green Gaming also a few laps down, having pit for repairs. Catguy, qualified 5th. He's currently running in 4th. Made some repairs on the car. Jack is in the pit lane still, making repairs to that car.
From 2nd place, and he's dropped back how many laps now?
He's 5 or 6 laps down going on here at 24 seconds a lap. So he's going to have some work to do. Like I said, you can make some of these up. I personally feel that you could be 2-3 laps down and make it up depending on what happens in front of you. Because these are 24-second laps. But, you know, you'll have to...
Oh, look at Ed in number 6th place, Ed Yeager. Who was he following? They just got a little loose and went into the wall.
Yeah, these guys are just... that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing cars that are too trimmed out. They get anywhere near each other and they start wiggling. It's the classic case of trying to race your qualifying car. And
normally you want to get up close to somebody and draft, but it's almost like you don't want to at this race.
Yeah, they're getting very squirrely in the traffic. There's no doubt about that, as it looks like Dale the Whale's coming back out. He came in 2nd in the points, so definitely wants to try to pick up some time here, as we've got Mark passing Lecky for 6th. I think those two are running together. No, they're not running together. Mark's back in the pits. So Lecky's going to come by him pretty shortly. Let's give some cockpit time to Lecky and see who he's trailing as he goes around. These guys are flinging this car around. He takes it down on the apron, makes a safe merge. He's got 2 cars coming on the outside, currently running in 6th, several laps off the pace. These guys have not put on a superb show for the viewers. Being a guy who has run a 500K race caution-free in these, with everybody finishing, you want to see a little better racecraft from the guys. But we're only a third of the way through, just hitting 30 minutes, so we may see it all come back together.
Speaking of racecraft, we had an LMP2 series race today in Japan that was just amazing with Immortalis. Had racecraft. It was an amazing race that he spun together today and took it to the victory.
He did the same thing I tried to do last week in the stock cars at Willow Springs and stretched that car out, and and it didn't work for me. It totally worked for him, and I called it after that race and said somebody's going to pull this off sometime soon, and he sure as heck did.
Well, we have the leader in the pit.
KE5 making what could be a scheduled pit stop.
It looks like it is with 16 minutes gone.
35 laps in, I'd say that puts them definitely on a 2-stop strategy. But most of these other guys made their early stop, their damage stop, within that pit window. So if that's the case, you'll be surprised at how much it evens out. We'll see where KE5 comes out once he makes his stop. But these guys got to avoid.
My name Jeff is going to pass him. He's
I believe
coming up on the same lap right here.
I believe so. He's coming around now onto the front stretch. KE5 is out of the pits. See where that red car comes out. We got 2 cars around.
Car. Oh no!
Green Gaiman and One Shoe coming out of the pits there in turn 2. KE5 has.
Great job of them to miss him.
Yeah, great job to miss that. As KE5 coming out, he's got Jeff now 1.4 as more cars are around. That looks like Green Gaiman is sidewinding that damaged car, him and One Shoe, banging it up coming out of the pits. I can see the stewards inquiries firing up right now as we've got a number of guys making some silly errors here at Texas Motor Speedway.
And back up at top, Jeff did take the lead, and he's about 12 seconds in front of KE5, who did pit. So Jeff, you would think, will have to pit again. So Well, it'll be fun to see. It looks right here, he doesn't have much fill left. He has 1.5 liters. He's going to have to come in next time by.
All right, we got another car out of the race. Not sure who that was, but we're down to 10 now.
And here does come our leader down pit road.
Not sure if he
Which is very busy.
Yeah, been very busy today. Not sure if he has damage or not.
Oh, it looks like KE5's back in the pit, too.
Maybe
that puts OGR Catguy in second place.
And Catguy comes back out to the lead. Maybe KE5 banged it up on the way out. Mechanical failures are not on, so I would believe they can repair the car and get it going. It might just be a matter of they're tired of repairing the car and can't get it going. But in that situation, I would say we know exactly where the problem lies. Sit at your wheel in the cockpit. Look on either side of you. There's mirrors right there. There's a helmet in that mirror. That guy in that mirror, that's the problem.
And we're coming up to halfway, and we got 5 cars in the pits.
Yeah, 0 in, 5. That's the second round. That would be the first round of scheduled pit stops. Most of those guys have already been in before, fixing their car, but they are back out. And meanwhile, Catguy's put a lap on the field again, but he also is off cycle. You got to remember with these gaps is that these guys have multiple pit stops to make, obviously, and they're off cycle, off sequence with each other. So at the moment, Catguy's running a lap ahead of Jeff, but Catguy pitted before Jeff. So if he comes in before him on the second stop, you'll have to wait and see where that is. You know, and basically right now, just the time, less the gap on the track and more watching their lap times and see who's gaining on who will tell you where we're getting. Catguy's leading Lecky and Ed, who happens to be third place, a couple laps off of him. They are leading the field right there.
And I noticed that he is burping the car, so their tires are really temperamental today. And knowing Catguy, he probably has enough field to make just one more stop to the end, and he should be good to go.
I would say I hope the drivers learned a little something. We'll learn a little something today heading into Indianapolis next week. You know, keep the car out of the pits and make sure you got a setup that's going to get you around. Because we've seen some guys.
Attrition, you know, and I mean, we started with 15 drivers and we have 10. So there's a lot of damage, a lot of blown engines, a lot of blown hearts.
Oh yeah, we got 4 retirees, and the problem is that those guys who retired early, you can see how much the standings have shuffled since they've been out. So had they just kept turning laps, you'd see a lot of this stuff shuffle around. Like I said, meantime, Catguy is gaining. I believe running with that group, he's picking up half a second a lap on My Name is Jeff, who I believe is running by himself. So that is putting Catguy into a better position. He's running right in the wake of Ed Yeager, as Green Damon is back in the pits again for more repairs. Ed Yeager running in third, qualified in third. He is 2 laps off the lead at the moment. But as we said, no telling where the cycle is with these guys and how far they're going to try to stretch their tires. You might have somebody who thinks they can stretch it out and cut a pit stop. We don't know yet. You know that a pit stop here is a good lap and a half, 2 laps on the track.
So as we go down the list here, we have OGR Catguy in first. My Name is Jeff running in second. And it looks like he has a teammate there. Ed Yeager running in third. And he looks a little more comfortable than he did at the beginning of the race.
Well, he qualified well, took it in third, and has after all this has cycled out and making his own stop, he's kept it right up there. So Ed looking to have a good finish. Ed coming into this race, check out his point standings, coming in 9th in points, and where he's at, he would definitely gain.
Then behind him we have NZ Jax, who started 6th, and he's running 4th, so he'll be happy with that if it continues.
Jack had that tremendous run at Long Beach. Those who saw it on Flux Motorsport TV, half a second apart with Catguy at the line at the finish. He then did not make an entry, did not make the trip out to Willow Springs for that race. So looking to get, with a DNS, he's looking to get some more points. And like you said, he's a few laps off the lead right now, but running in 4th place and looking for a good championship standing. And at the moment, he's sweeping around people, running good laps. He's up in the high 25s at the moment, about 12 seconds ahead of Lecky, who's running back in 5th place. Made his first start, there in the 25 Chevrolet. He started back in 9th position. He's been in the pits on at least one occasion. And yeah, Immortal's correct. These guys, there's plenty here, especially if you can somehow cut a pit stop, make a jump on somebody. That lap time is nothing. We've seen it shuffle quite a bit, and with 22 minutes, we are officially in the back half of tonight's Flux IndyCar race at Texas. Next week, these cars will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll give you the schedule for tomorrow's Sunday races. The European Tour back at Sakito in Japan, 8 p.m. UK time, at 3 p.m. Eastern, as the GT3s will be running at the Sakito circuit. And then tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. in the UK, the American Tour comes right back here to Texas Motor Speedway for round 3 of the Stock Car Championship. So we're looking forward to close out another fantastic weekend here in the American time zone. Last night we saw O'Brien taking a win in the GTEs at Sonoma. Right now there's Dale the Whale in 7th, as we said, came in 2nd in points, and with Lecky in the pit, he's hoping to gain at least 1 or 2 more spots, grab a few more points here, obviously, as he goes inside of Ed Yeager, as those two are running together. And if those two are running together, who were both up front, you're talking about the pole sitter and the third place qualifier, they might get some speed going. Ed just ran a 24.6. Dale 24.2, so these guys are the fastest 2 cars on the track. And with this much time left, and I'm estimating about 45 laps to go, or somewhere in that neighborhood, they may have time to start moving up on the guys in front of them. You've seen it thin out, and with 2 or 3 of these retirements, we haven't seen any more. We haven't seen any more incidents coming off onto the track or anything like that. One shoe running several laps down in 9th. He's been victimized coming out of the pits on looked like at least one occasion, and possibly even twice. He's still within range to possibly move up on Green Gaiman and grab 8th place there. One shoe running behind the 2nd place car of My Name is Jeff in the number 6 Chevy. One shoe had optimism for this race. He's a veteran of the IndyCars, but he got caught up in a couple of different wrecks. We've come across him, like we said, coming out of the pit lane when he and Green Gaiman looked like they were either both exiting the pit or somebody came off the pits onto the track. It's tough to tell, but either way, both of them got banged up pretty good. Jiggly Jello at the back of the field, going to try to run it out, finish, and get a top 10. He's running 25.1, so he's running good lap times. And he's possibly within range of one shoe if one shoe or Green Gaiman have any trouble, but really just trying to solidify that top 10 position, as Jiggly Jello came in today 4th in the points. He was just 23 points off the leader, Catguy, coming in, so he's going to take a big hit with tonight's action at Texas. Meanwhile, Catguy is out in front. We got Ed Yeager hitting the pits along with Lecky. Yeager in the Quiznos car making what is undoubtedly his last stop. Let's see where he comes out. Catguy and Jeff still probably have stops to make. I know Catguy does. I believe both of them will. Catguy just made it.
Here comes Catguy.
Here comes Catguy. Yeah, Catguy coming in on lap 59 to make his 2nd stop. I don't think I don't believe he'll maintain the lead here, but he might.
No, he won't. My name is Jeff. We'll take the lead from him.
He's got to come around one more time, but I believe he will get him. Yeah, I believe Indianapolis would be, and even we have run Daytona in the past. They can be cleaner. These guys, I honestly, Immortalis, to comment on your comment on the stream, I really just think the guys went too aggressive. They went for raw speed. You've got a couple of mistakes on simple things coming out of the pit lane. Stuff like that are just things that drivers should not be making. Drivers should not be making those errors. In practice, that's one thing. In qualifying, it's another thing. In race situations, that's basic stuff. And we got another trip here later in the season. We got Indianapolis next week. I think that they would sort some of that out, get that out of their system. And they're completely capable of much closer. As I said, many of the veterans, Catguys, myself, Pogo, we've run these cars together for a long time and have run these races where full course cautions were being called, and they were we've ran them caution free. And you can do it, but you have to be very disciplined. You have to understand, you have to understand how the race is going to play out, and that you're not going to benefit from much early on, but you can lose it early on. But meanwhile, you've got Green Gaiman in the 20 running back in 8th. He's got Jeff, who's your leader, right behind him trying to use the draft, while Catguy is 18 seconds back in 2nd place. Those are the only 2 cars on the lead lap right now. And Jeff seems to be getting around quicker. He does have a drafting partner. Not that last time. Also, you got to remember, it has to be the right drafting partner. If Jeff's drafting partner is slowing him up, you can only go as fast as that guy will take you. And considering he's falling back.
It looks like he might have fell back a little bit, but it could be on purpose, so he doesn't get caught up in a slide or a wreck by another driver, which has happened many times today. So just playing it safe and bringing it home, because we have somebody around. Looks like that's Green Gaiman.
Green Gaiman around again. He's had all kinds of trouble here today. Lost another front wing, leaving debris on the track. He's been around a few times and looked to be running on his own there. So looks like he just lost it in turn 2. Now I'm not sure where he's at. Yeah, there he goes, rolling it down into the pits.
Well, no, that's Lecky.
That's Lecky, okay.
Lecky so must have got caught up in it too.
Apparently, he looks like he's lost a wing. Green Gaiman's just trying to steer it down, trying to avoid the debris and steer it down to the pits. He's missing the rear. He's got a long repair in front of him. Missing the rear wing, missing the front wing. Just lost it in turn 2. Turned it around.
I hope he keeps it on the shoulder.
To finish first, you first must finish. That's the key. Too much damage today. These guys have, some guys they're running quick laps, but, damage has put them behind the 8 ball as Dale moves up into 5th as KE5, and Lecky was already in the pits. KE5 heartbroken after having the early lead in this race and being in a prime position. He's now into the pits for repairs. That has moved Dale all the way up to 4th as we've got another car off the track and we're down to 9. I wonder who the retiree was this time. Meanwhile, up front, my name is Jeff, holding a 19-second lead on Catguy. He's got 19 seconds on him. And the question is, does Jeff have to pit again? I think he does. And he's definitely going to after doing that. He loses it coming into turn 1. Coming down the backstretch. Does he have damage on the car? He is. He's coming into the pits. Or is he? No, he's just blending back in. Maybe he did not damage the car. He's losing time left and right. But he may have spun the car, kept it going without damaging it. And he's, I'll tell you this, Tom Sneva used to say that the ones on the skid marks on the track aren't the only ones out there after a spin like that. That was a great save, and now he's coming down though. I believe he must have hit something because he's coming into the pits. There he goes, yeah, and that's going to hand the lead back to Catguy. These guys losing it on their own. Jack's in again, Dale's in again. Glenn is still making repairs. And that's going to put Cat back in the lead. He's pulled back by those 4 guys. Just 9 cars of the 14 remaining on the track. Heart of a champion, guys. Heart of a champion.
That must have been Ed Yeager that blew his engine a little while ago.
Yeah, he may have just completely damaged it to where he couldn't drive it back. That would be the most common thing, because Ed, running where he was in the standings, I know, wanted to get a good finish today. He qualified third. He was running well. But you got to keep the car on the track. It's a different kind of racing, but it's just like a road race in that you got to turn the laps, be consistent, don't bang it up. We've seen a lot of cars. We've seen accidents where guys have hit other people. We've seen a lot of self-inflicted stuff here today, too. And those are the things that the guys can fix with just a little seat time. As we're now down to 8, we had another car drop out. IndyCar races on the ovals have been known to be attrition fests, and that's exactly what we're seeing here today.
We've had the number 2 qualifying car, Ed Yeager, out. Marco, CMC, Muttley, One Shoe.
One Shoe's still on the track.
Drivers. Oh, is he? My bad.
One Shoe's still on the track. Yes, he is. Catguy, meanwhile, is well in charge of the field. He is currently 1, 2, 3 laps ahead of the field, perhaps as many going on 4. And after all that, NZ Jack has come up into second place, and we've got battles for position from 5th on back. One Shoe holding 4 seconds over Lecky, 10 seconds over Jiggly Jello, and that's worth a lot of points right there to get into that top 5. So that will be the battle on the track. Green Gaiman sliding. I believe he wrecked it again. No, did he keep it going? Well, down on the apron. Looks like he might be banged up again, but yeah, One Shoe now has Lecky on him. Let's get on to that battle for 5th place. And Lecky gets by. Lecky with the faster car. One Shoe deciding not to fight him. One Shoe could be nursing a damaged car around, trying to avoid making another pit stop. Or he could just be wanting to settle into the draft. But that's going to move Lecky up into the top 5. One Shoe back to 6th. Jiggly Jello is back to 7th. Those 3 are still competing for position. KE5 still has to be happy. Came out, qualified, 3rd in his first race. Now he's running all by himself in 4th on his own lap. So if he can keep it together the rest of the way, he'll wind up with a top 4 finish in his first race, which would be a terrific way to debut. Dale similarly, and Jack also on their own laps, with Catguy running out in front. Catguy he may have made some damage repair, but Catguy hasn't stopped. He may have, as Jeff says, he lost the motor on his car. That's what got rid of him. That's why we're running 8 of 14 here with 8 minutes to go. It is a war of attrition here today at Texas Motor Speedway. Don't anticipate to see quite as much in the stock cars here tomorrow night. Those cars can take a little more beating than an IndyCar can, plus the experience of some of the drivers in that field, as Jiggly Jello and Green Gaming are back. I agree with you, Mortalis. I try to keep the tone neutral as the play-by-play man, but honestly, as a driver, I look at a situation like this and I say, you got to keep the wings on it. I mean, you're out there in a top level championship in Flux Motorsport because you're supposed to be able to keep it together. And like I said, a lot of these mistakes, not that myself or Pogo or anybody else wouldn't have made them too, but those self-inflicted mistakes are easy to fix. And when you see two or three guys having the problem in qualifying and then have that same problem in the race, then you know that it's something that's easy to repair. And a win's a win. Catguy has obviously been running quick laps, but he also made the least amount of repairs. When he did come in, he was right on cycle. The big question for him is, can he make it on fuel? And I think with the lead he has, even if he has to take a splash, he should be able to get out and maintain the lead. But I agree with you on the comment there, Mortalis. I like a consistent race where, where fastest guy is not going to win if he can't keep the car underneath him, and sometimes luck has to do with it. Some of these guys have gotten caught out with someone spinning in front of them. We saw one shoe was one of those, and it makes for a tough day. But the guys will live and learn. They'll come back next week in Indianapolis. The season closes in the night race here at Texas, so these guys are going to want to have those issues figured out. As we're down to 6 minutes, puts us right about where I thought we'd be, somewhere in the range of close to 100 laps in the 150-mile range. And as you said, Jeff, unfortunate that he blew the motor. He was running well. He's had hard luck this season, but really plenty of speed. So there's still plenty of time for him to move around.
I was just watching Catguy, and you were referring to something we call championship mentality. And if you were watching him, he let Dale the Whale go by him. He is either saving gas or he is just nursing that car home to a victory. And that's championship mentality, and that's what you need to make it to the end of these races and to win these races.
Oh yeah, it's old school style racing, very much what it was like back in the golden age, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Back in those days, they didn't have the infamous NASCAR phantom debris cautions. And even in road races, they would very rarely stop the race. The only reason you should stop a race is for safety reasons, honestly. This is very much how some of those races went. I remember Ned Jarrett won the 1965 Southern 500 by 14 laps. Guys have won the Indy 500 by 8, 9, 10 laps before. Le Mans has been won by hours. It depends on keeping the car together. And today, 45 minutes in one of these cars shouldn't be a problem. But it is tough to stay. When you're trying to run with the fastest guys there are, it can be very tough. And as you can see by the intervals there, the number of laps on the intervals, one significant repair will knock you back 3-4 laps. And so you can't afford to do that at all. And it means the first time that you head into turn 1 and come through 2 and you start feeling that back end get twitchy, you need to lift the throttle and give away a second on that lap, because there's just too much to lose. That you can see how many of these guys have, Jack, NZ Jack, Dale the Whale, KE5. They've all taken their hard luck hits, but they are in positions to be on the podium just because they've outlasted their opponents. There hasn't been a lot of classic head-to-head racing here this evening because of the attrition, but there's been a lot of classic racing as far as racemanship and knowing when to push and when not to push. And as you said, Catguy, he did get banged up. He came in the pits, he fixed it, he got out. He has been very careful around other cars. And when everything cycled back out, we saw him pull out in front. Now the only question is the fuel. Does he have enough fuel? And I think he's got enough of a gap, 3 laps at this point, that he should be able to make a pit stop, take a splash of fuel, and barring some kind of catastrophe, stay on. But we've seen guys loop it here today. We've seen guys have all sorts of problems, and you look at Green Game, and he's going to be, you know, he's going to end up getting 8th place points just by driving it out. That's how Hiro Matsushita once had a top 5 in the Michigan 500 because there were 6 finishers. Catguy rolls around lap traffic in that 61 PureTech. He was the winner in the season opener at Long Beach in that great duel with NZ Jack. He came home second last week at Willow Springs in the race that Dale the Whale was so dominant in. And now here at Texas, barring catastrophe in these last couple minutes, he's going to come away with his second win of the Flux IndyCar 2021 Season 1. And it should put him, he came in 7 points ahead of Dale in the points. Dale, however, has shuffled his way back to 3rd. So Dale's only going to lose 8 points here if he finishes where he does. He'll stay right there within striking distance of Catguy in the championship. And Dale the Whale right there is every reason to see why, even though he's running 5 laps down, I believe, 5 or 6 laps down, why you keep driving. He's going to wind up getting on the podium here. He's not going to lose much to Catguy in the standings heading into Indianapolis next week. And Dale's got a hot pedal at the Brickyard, so that's why these guys are. That's why you're out there, and they're grinding it out to get there. Got to give the shout out to KE5 again. He qualified 3rd, was it? He was inside of row 2 in his IndyCar debut, and he led for a good portion of the early part of the race. He did bang the car up, but KE5 running in 4th place at the moment. Looks to be nursing the car around himself. But we're still on Dale the Whale here, running in 3rd place in the target car. Dale was not on the podium at Long Beach, obviously got the win at Willow, but getting on the podium here just puts him right, as we said, he'll unofficially at the moment would be 15 points back. I would not be surprised to see the old stewards inquiry out in this race. I don't think anybody did anything malicious, but I think when you got cars around multiple times, you might actually hear about that, so we could see those points change. But at the moment, Dale would be 15 points behind Catguy as they run.
Should be the last lap here at lap 100.
It looks like 150 miles, right what they're going to cover. Catguy's got one shoe running with him. Looks like the clock's run out, and it looks like it's going to be OGR Catguy for his 2nd win of the season in the Flux IndyCar Championship.
Hey, Catguy, good race.
And he pulls it off. Got no battles on the track. NZ Jack's going to get his 2nd podium of the season. 2nd place at Long Beach, 2nd at Texas. Dale the Whale follows up last week's win and crosses in 3rd. KE5 with a terrific debut. He's several laps down, but he's going to come home in 4th place. And Lecky coming up from the 9th starting spot. We'll see if his penalties affect him, but he crosses the line in 5th. One shoe, hard luck. He got damaged early on when he got caught up, and no reason to spin the car across the line, guys. There's other cars coming up behind you. You never know what might happen there. But as it finishes out, let's take a look at your final finishing order from the Flux Motorsport 2021 Season 1 IndyCar Championship at Texas Motor Speedway. Catguy is going to take your win in the 61 PureTech, his 2nd of the season. It'll be NZ Jack in the NTT Data car. He comes across in 2nd for his 2nd podium of the season. Dale the Whale, last week's winner, is going to come home in 3rd. Those are your champagne-sipping guys on the podium. KE5 with a terrific debut comes home with a 4th place finish after qualifying on the 2nd row. And Lecky brings it home in his debut race in the series in 5th place. Rest of the running order, one shoe bringing it home 6th. Jiggly Jello in 7th. 21 laps down. These guys were many laps down thanks to the damage. Green Gaiman wound up in 8th. He was around many times. Ed Yeager comes home in 9th. That was a DQ. I'm not sure if he's going to get scored for that. Probably was something coming onto the pit lane or something of that nature. Mark C. is scored in 10th place. And those are your finishers. We'll let the guys get their screenshots. Any final thoughts there about what we saw tonight, Pogo?
Kind of blew me away. I thought we would see nose to tail, side to side for many laps, and then damage at the end. But it started out with damage on lap 1, and it continued throughout the race.
Absolutely.
It's been. I
Go
was
ahead.
just going to say it's been a fun day, but I'm glad we can close the book on this race.
Yeah, I hear you. I would say I don't want to be too harsh on the drivers because it was a tough, it's tough conditions. Some of the guys got caught out, but when you look at the number of penalties, and most of those look like pit exit, pit entering, things like that. When you look at the number of penalties like that, and you look at the number of self-inflicted incidents, spins coming out of the pit, spin coming into turn 2 when you're loose. These were Most of this was inflicted by the drivers themselves. So I think that it's nothing that further testing, further seat time is not going to fix. I expected a closer race as well, but these guys grinded it out and put on a finish. And I think the next time around we'll have a better show at Texas because I did expect to see a more competitive race. But nonetheless, Catguy completes 150 miles here at the Texas Motor Speedway, takes his second win of the season, maintains the point lead. Congratulations to Jack and Dale also on the podium. Well, for Pogo, Mojo, and Flux Motorsport TV, we're going to tell you to hit fluxmotorsport.com and go to our Discord. Make sure you check out the Flux store for all the merch and swag you could want from Flux Motorsport. And until tomorrow, when we'll be at Saquito and Texas for Pogo Mojo, this is Carlin Hicks signing off from Texas Motor Speedway.